What's up, Internet? Welcome to Once Over. I'm Kaylee, and today we're going to be giving the once over to A Boy and His Dog. There will be spoilers. A Boy and His Dog is a 1975 post-apocalyptic science fiction film directed and produced by L.Q. Jones based upon a novel written by Harlan Ellison. Ellison specifically chose Jones to direct this film, even though he was offered lots and lots of money from lots of other people for the rights to it, because he really loved Jones's work and his presence on screen in lots of other Sam Peckinpah films. But that's far from the most important part of this movie. The most important part is that it came out in 1975, but it is set in 2024. The future! Yay! We're here. Happy New Year, everybody! The film is known for its dark humor, unconventional storytelling, and the exploration of the relationship between the main character Vic, played by Don Johnson, and his dog, Blood, voiced by Tim McIntire.
You're still constantly overreacting. I have absolutely no idea how I've managed to keep you alive so long.
Roam the desolate landscape of the post-apocalyptic world in search for food and sex. Can you guess who wants what?
What indication of a female and all? Caution to the wind, the eyes glaze, the glands swell, and the brain freezes.
The dynamic between the two is central to the story, and they couldn't be more different. Blood is quick-witted, knowledgeable, and eloquent, while providing guidance to the often impulsive Vic.
To hell with waiting.
The cynical banter between Vic and Blood adds an element of humor to what would otherwise be an extremely dark narrative. Blood frequently insults Vic. He is always calling him Albert instead of Vic. I don't really know why that name is selected.
You're so funny when you're sexually frustrated.
I'm funny enough to kick you upside the butt. I said fine, and I ain't kidding.
One does not say ain't, Albert. Simply say, I'm not kidding.
Fine, dog meat. And stop calling me Albert.
But he is making fun of him as he tries to educate him. And this is so pivotal to us understanding how deep-seated their love is, because they do love each other. But in addition to that, they have an extremely symbiotic relationship. The first third of the film sets the landscape. We get to see the desolate desert, which has become overrun by groups like the Rovers and the Screamers, while inhabitants fight for survival. We also learn more about the symbiotic relationship between Vic and Blood.
And so the male, being the simian that it is, takes women as property. So I thought, okay, I'm going to set it up. The boy, Vic, is just coming into his puberty. So he's hot and horny. The dog is able to spot females.
Blood can no longer forage for food. He lost his ability to do so when he gained his telepathic ability to communicate with Vic. But what he can do is sniff out women for Vic to bone. Vic and Blood make their way to a shanty town where they check out a bunch of stag films like Fistful of Rawhide, which came out in 1970 and has the tagline, 3 men after 1 woman. Oh baby. While they're watching these movies, Blood sniffs out a woman. Vic pursues her, but not in the romantic way, in the I'm gonna take what I want sort of way, and he follows her into an underground dwelling. He voyeuristically watches her change. I just absolutely love voyeurism in movies. I think that that is one of those things that is so interesting because we as film watchers are voyeurs, and so I love it when movies explore those sorts of topics. So this is a small little scene in the film, but I really like it. But before Vic has his chance to have his way with this unnamed female, they are attacked by a group of raiders who end up injuring Blood. After Vic saves the girl, and Blood is okay at this point. He's a little injured, a little bloody, but he's okay. After Vic saves the girl, we find out that her name is Quilla Jones, and the two of them end up having a lot of sex. Mostly instigated by her, which is a rarity, given that women are a commodity, and even more so, horny women are a commodity in the year 2024. Good luck, boys. Blood has an instant dislike for Quilla, but Vic ignores his warnings. Quilla notes that she's from down under, which is a biosphere entirely different than the barren wasteland that most inhabitants are used to living in. And as it turns out, Vic should have probably listened to Blood because Quilla was sent to the surface by her father Lou in order to recruit surface dwellers to come back down under. But why? So Vic stupidly follows Quilla to the down under through a portal while Blood stays behind because he's still injured. There's also some implication that he wouldn't get along down there. I honestly don't know what is going on on with that. Perhaps I should have read the book. This is when we discover that the Down Under is vastly different than the surface. It has trees and grass and fresh fruit. It also has loudspeakers that are constantly playing lovely messages from the committee's almanac. It has weird clown white-faced dudes everywhere. When Ellison was asked about the clown makeup, he said, "That's just what the style was at the time."
Which was the style at the time?
Vic is used to the chaos of the above-ground world, but Down Under, everything is ruled by the committee, which is led by Quilla's dad, Lou. The committee acts unrelentlessly as judge, jury, and executioner as they send disobedient citizens to the farm, in other words, to get probably violently murdered. Everything Down Under is built on structure and order. There's some implication that the reason that they have all the wonderful things like trees and fruit is because of the structure and order. I find it interesting that these judicial proceedings where people are sent to the farm take place in a church while Lou is sitting on church pews.
Committee won't forget it, no sirree.
Really begs the question of how much church and state are separated in the Down Under. While exploring this new world, Vic discovers that he has been lured down there in order to impregnate 35 women, but not in the fun way that he likes. Instead, he's gonna get hooked up to a machine for extractions.
Turn this thing off, I'm dry!
Now you might ask, why does he need to impregnate women down there? Well, it turns out that all of the men can no longer do so because they've been living away from the surface too long. They're literally impotent from living in their heaven. What would you give up for fresh fruit?
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Quilla's character starts to become driven by power, and she believes that Vic might actually be able to help her take over the rulership of the committee and therefore of Down Under. So she helps him escape the hell of being hooked up to this extraction machine.
You're as crazy as the rest of these damn nuts.
In order to help herself. There's some question about if the two of them have a loving relationship or if she's just using him. I think that the overall interpretation of their relationship is that she truly does have feelings for him, but in all honesty, I find her so manipulative that I don't know that I can trust her words at any point.
That stupid broad.
After defeating the committee members, Vic and Quilla go back up to the surface because, again, Vic has no interest in being in this little world of perfection. He wants to have his normal life, and more importantly, he wants to be with Blood. When they get back up, Blood is nowhere to be found. But finally, Vic hears Blood, and the two are reunited. However, because of Blood's injuries, he really needs food and medicine. We then hear the crackling of a fire, and it's pretty obvious what's about to happen. Vic had to make a choice about who was gonna survive and who wasn't.
You haven't eaten a bite.
I'm not hungry.
I really appreciate this.
We get to watch Vic and Blood walking off into the sunset, sort of, I don't know, barren wasteland, whatever, hell, year 2024. And the final line of the movie goes to Blood. She had marvelous judgment, if not particularly good taste. In this three-way love triangle, the boy chooses the dog over the girl, and we already know that that's going to happen just based on the title of this movie. But in addition to that, he does it for survival. The girl isn't going to help him survive, but the dog is. The two of them need each other more than anything else. Something very important about this final scene is that even though Blood eats Quilla, we never actually hear that Vic does. Vic never touches the meat of the girl, and this is the same both in the movie and in the book. Does that indicate that Vic actually did have some feelings for her? He certainly needed sustenance, but he chose not to have it. Harlan Ellison has gone on record saying that he hates this last line. He absolutely hates it.
Yuck.
But Ellison allowed Jones to keep this line in as long as Jones agreed to get rid of some of the more misogynistic portions of the film. Namely that apparently in an earlier version, they were just calling Quilla a cow the entire time.
Well done.
I don't think that's particularly misogynistic, but I guess go feminism. Yeah.
You woman-hating, piece of dog shit, you.
So in order to make these changes, the two of them needed money, and they had none of that. Ellison decided to go to a film convention where he sold off little teeny tiny snips from the film, like little clippings of the actual film. He sold them for, he said, between $1 and $5, and they were able to make the money that they needed in order to do these reshoots.
We'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
You think it's that fucking easy?
Well, not that
It wasn't that fucking easy.
No.
I practically had to break every bone in your goddamn plastic
Plus,
body.
you had to raise the money.
I had to raise the money.
Right, okay. I'm being smeared here.
This film is unapologetic. A Boy and His Dog is a unique and unconventional entry into the post-apocalyptic genre. Its combination of dark humor, moral ambiguity, and the portrayal of the relationship between a boy and his dog make it a film worth exploring. Plus, we get to find out what the future's gonna be like. With all that being said, and obviously based on my poster, I love this movie. 7 out of 7 thumbs up. I think it's beautiful. I think that it is really, really unique. And I have fun every time that I'm watching it. Ellison might not have liked that last line, but I sure do. So I want to wish all of you a very happy 2024. We already know what's going to happen this year based on A Boy and His Dog. So please be careful when you are having your extractions.
Amen.
Make sure that if you are going to overrun your father, you do not do so with the help of a boy and his dog. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait for the next one.